Were there other Mexicanos that you know of that were in Boulder at that time?
Oh yeah, at that particular time, when we moved into Boulder, I would say there were approximately 12 to 15 families, but all scattered about, not any one of them. I think the most centralized area probably was in the Goss Water Street area, and other than that, most of us lived, in other areas within the city limits, but not in any way centralized.
Were any of these families? You mentioned that they were scattered. Did any of these families come together in any way, either for entertainment or church?
Yes, we did. Most of us, in fact, I can't think of any of them that were non-Catholic, so most of us would meet in one shape, way, or form at one of the masses at Sacred Heart, which is on Mapleton. And we also, because we were so few in numbers, would have things like house parties, baptisms, birthdays, that sort of thing. And we'd just clear out a dining room somewhere and have records. And it was kind of neat because there was no barrier between the young and the old. Most of our parents would invariably be in the kitchen talking, eating, whatever, and with the rest of the family, regardless of our ages, from young teenagers to the just over teenagers, all being together and dancing together, laughing and just having a good time. It was a real wholesome kind of entertainment, but there was nothing else for us to entertain ourselves, culturally, traditionally, unless we centralized in somebody's home. And I would say we did that about probably at least every 2 months or something. Some kind of thing would come up where we could be all together.
Why did you say that there was nothing else? What did you mean by that?
Well, traditionally, we love our fiestas, and we don't always call them fiestas, but our get-togethers are impromptu. If it's a baptism, we just refer to it as vamos al bautismo. And that means that we're all going to this baptism, and now this has a connotation of fiesta for people, to say, fuimos a esta fiesta, we went to this gathering. But in the Boulder area, there was no place for the Chicano or the Mexicano to get together, to have a good time, the cultural thing, music. It's just, we couldn't even get records in Boulder. If you wanted to buy a record, and you were lucky, you might find one in Denver. There was one Mexican station that came into being around 1949, 48, and that's still the current Mexican station out of Denver. But aside from that, I mean, we could go to movies here. We could go. I suppose there were school dances. I just didn't particularly care to go to them. Their style of dancing was different. Our style of dancing was different, and it just wasn't any fun. That just was really basically what it was.
Were Anglos invited to let's say, a baptismal fiesta?
Not unless they were particularly good friends of someone. I can't ever recall that there were any blacks or Anglos at any of our gatherings at that point.
And you had gatherings at your house, your family had gatherings at your
Yes.
house? One of the things that seems to be coming up consistently when we're talking to people is people entertained. Their entertainment was done within the home. Mm-hmm. Why do you think that was?
For one thing, even if we had wanted to, I don't think any of the families were in any kind of monetary situation where they could afford to rent a hall. Although that brings me to another point, and that's that as a teenager, we discovered we used to call it the Wall Hall, W-O-W Hall, and it used to be, let's see, upstairs on the corner of 11th and Pearl. I think there was a bar underneath, but we could for a minimal fee of something like $5 or $6, we could rent this hall. And so we teenagers, and we wouldn't exclude our parents, they were always welcome, for a particular birthday or a particular time of the year, we'd all pitch in and have the makings for a party bake our own cakes, we'd make our own sandwiches, we'd have Kool-Aid, and we'd rent the hall. And we'd have a really super good time. Of course, we couldn't afford to do this too often, but we were all working. You know, there wasn't a single one of us among the families who wasn't working doing something. It might be house cleaning on weekends or before after school, which I did myself. It might be those of us that had already left school and gone on to work. And the guys and the gals would all just pitch in together. We were a small group, but we were really a close-knit group, just simply because we were small in numbers and all looking for the same kind of entertainment, the same kind of togetherness, I guess you'd say.
Beth